All right, welcome back to Morning Live. As I mentioned earlier, of course, Leonard Tampushi from NEMA and Catherine Baisi are in studio, and we want to majorly talk about the World Environment Day and also touch on air pollution, because now these are things affecting us every day, and the day is actually tomorrow, 5th of every, that is June, where they always actually mark the World Environment Day. And when you talk about environment, trust me, we can talk about all this the whole day, because no one really can avoid this topic. And good morning, Catherine.
Morning.
Okay, good morning, Bana Leonard.
Good morning.
All right, now, 5th is here tomorrow, and when you mark the World Environment Day, a very big day, we can touch on so many aspects of the World Environment Day, and we cannot even exhaust all things. Of course, we'll also be talking about pollution at the same time, but looking at this year's theme, how does it now apply to the current fight just to save the environment?
Thank you, Nick.
Karibu sana.
And thank you for welcoming us to come here
Karibu.
and talk about the World Environment Day. As you have rightly mentioned, the World Environment Day is celebrated 5th of June every year.
Okay.
But just to put a little correction, as you are aware, tomorrow we are celebrating the Eid Day.
Okay, yes.
So we have moved the day
it's been
to
pushed to
6th.
6th. Amazing. So
So
for
we-
Kenya, that is.
For Kenya.
Yeah, sure.
So we are going to have the celebration
On 6th.
on 6th,
Okay.
that is Thursday.
Okay.
But everything else will remain the same.
Okay.
We still have it in RTI,
Okay.
and all other activities related to that are going on very well, except the day tomorrow.
Okay.
Back to the theme. This year's theme is on air pollution. We have planned a lot of activities just to create awareness about the impacts of air pollution. We have lined up quite a number of activities to target everybody in Kenya to just bring out awareness and to create a conversation around the theme.
Okay.
As we are speaking today, we are having a panel discussion that will bring together policymakers, anybody who is touching on policy around air pollution. We are having that conversation in Nairobi County Government offices because we are doing this event in collaboration with the County Government of Nairobi.
Okay. Okay.
Because as you are aware, the issues of air pollution, we are, as much as we are coordinating them with NEMA, but there are also issues that are coordinated at the county government level. So together for this, now that we are having the event here in Nairobi, the national celebrations here in Nairobi, we have worked very well and closely with the county government of Nairobi.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah, so we are going to have a discussion around air pollution. We are also going to look at the regulatory framework and look and bring on board all the national governments together with the county governments who are implementing issues on air pollution.
Okay.
So we're having that conversation together.
Okay.
But also, we also looked at our younger generations, like the school children. How do they appreciate issues of air pollution? So for them, we designed a competition. And we have run the competition in schools, and we are going to mark. And on 6th now, sorry, I've talked so much about 5th.
It's 5th, but of course in Kenya,
but 6th, when we are having our national event, we'll see who has won. It will recognize them just to also create awareness. For the youth also, we have run also a competition, but mainly on, we ask them to capture in videos and audio and visual videos on how they also view this and how they understand the issues of air pollution to create a discussion about that.
All right. Leonard, it's clear air pollution is the core agenda this time round, and you're inclined into that aspect. And when you talk about air pollution in this country, it's just a different ballgame, because the war on even emissions has been very, very key to make sure at least we reduce. When you compare countries like Rwanda, where car-free days, people just walk to work, whatever the distance is, but people ride the bicycles to work. But in Kenya, it's proving to be very difficult, whereby maybe we can put lanes for bicycles and everything, but still, looking at this air pollution from our industries, from the vehicles actually, what's the step so far just to make sure it's reduced in this country?
Thank you very much, Nick. First of all, I would like to say that air pollution is a global problem. Worldwide, every year, 7 million of people lose their lives because of air pollution. In Kenya alone, 18,000 people lose their life every year because of the air pollution related problems, the asthma, the cancers, and many other diseases. So what we are trying to do, NEMA established air quality regulations to try to handle this problem of air pollution. Both industrial, which is stack emissions, and the mobile sources. Mobile sources include anything that moves and pollutes the environment. And the major source of mobile sources is actually the motor vehicles, both four-wheeler, three-wheeler, and two-wheeler.
Okay.
Now, if we come back to the sources, in Kenya we have around 4 major different sources of air pollutants. But the biggest one is actually the indoors, household, the cookings, leaking stoves, the biofuels that we use in our household, whereby you see the major population of our people actually cook using these simple methods, the charcoal, charcoal, the paraffins, all that. Those are the biofuels.
Yeah, sure.
And petrol and hydrocarbons also. Because women and children are more exposed at the indoor levels. When we come to the mobile sources, we have around more than 3 million vehicles on our roads now registered. Those are the records that we understand. All of these are emitters. High trucks, the diesel users, the engines that we use in our hotels, in our industries as backups, energy production, and also agricultural products, that is burning of agricultural waste in our farms. Those are the major sources of air pollutants. So, but what we are trying to do right now, NEMA established regulations. We are implementing those regulations to make sure that we come to the level that the emissions that we produce is actually within the global standards that are required, even in our laws. Now, when we talk about industrial pollution, right now, already NEMA is implementing that. We are in good progress because we are monitoring very closely, and we also allowing that they install the proper equipments, that is the current technology, which actually reduce the emissions of these dangerous gases. In terms of mobile sources, we are coming to that. We are talking to our stakeholders, our relevant government agencies, so that we come together developing the criteria for which these vehicles can be tested every year through the NEMA registered testing centers, so that to make sure that their engines are fitted with the correct equipment, and also to make sure that the exhaust emissions meet the standards prescribed.
Which is actually very major, exhaust emissions. Now, Catherine, let's talk about the day itself. You know, it's marked every day, but after the event, you know, this all is about, they talk about impact. You know, impact is very important, because when you talk about air pollution, we'll have the ceremony, our leaders will come and speak, the county government leaders will come and speak, and then 7th is there, the following day life continues. Now, looking at follow-ups and just making sure there's a progress, is it always achieved? That's the big question, actually.
Yes. Like for this year, we always try to come up with some of the programs that we can follow through after.
Okay.
If like last year we had a program. Last year we marked the event in Kwale, and we initiated some programs that we were able to follow through, working with other partners.
Okay.
Like we initiated some tree planting programs in schools. So working together with our partners, we were able to like identify some schools, like we call them pilot schools, where we continued to plant trees, continue to promote water harvesting, so that other people can learn from them. So that program is still ongoing. So even for this year, when we are looking at air pollution, that is what we intend to do. For example, I have mentioned the schools and art competition. That is something that we continue to do, and we will continue to do. Of course, different themes, but now we are looking at air pollution. So we intend to continue engaging schools. Even after that, also our stakeholders, like he has, my colleague has rightly mentioned, we are working with partners. So there are some programs that we are going to continue. Like he has mentioned that we are just setting up an air mobile unit. So with that unit, we will continue monitoring, we will continue creating awareness, we'll continue working with partners, working with our, at various levels, like the policy level discussions. We'll continue engaging to see how can we then move on. Now that we have identified the major issues, like you said, majorly indoor air pollution. That is something that many people don't appreciate. And so we have to initiate a policy discussion on what do we do? How do we help the mama in the village who is using fuel wood to change or to adopt maybe a cleaner way of cooking? How does she then afford this clean air? What can she use? We are talking about solar. Is this solar available? Is this solar affordable to her? Can she adopt it? So those are some of the discussions that we are going to continue. As much as we've been promoting, but we are going to focus on that to ensure that now this discussion is not only 7th, but how does the common mwananchi, how does the policymaker ensure that all instruments are put in place to ensure that we reduce this air pollution and their impact.
All right. Okay, interesting. And I believe there'll be impact on this.
Yes.
All right. We're taking a short break. When we come back now, we'll be asking the key question of execution and taking accountability, because at the end of the day, you know, it has to boil down to individuals, because now when you talk about indoor pollution, you talk about the generic air pollution, emissions, it boils down to accountability. So all that coming to you after a short break. Welcome back to Morning Live. Yes, the discussion, even during the break, is kind of very enterprising, because now when you talk about gadgets that will be testing air pollution, that means an innovation also in need, and it will also be helping the environment. Now, but back to you, Leonard. Let's now touch base on matters, just accountability, and of course now pushing the responsible people even to the corners of justice and even the law. I understand it's so hard to catch a motorist who is emitting carbon because they're high speed, but looking at the progress you're making, measuring even the extensiveness of pollution anywhere, what's the step so far?
Thank you, Nick. Maybe I can start with the issue of monitoring. NEMA has actually acquired a mobile monitoring laboratory. This is a kind of a laboratory which can be moved from one place to another at any specific time. Now, this lab will take the real-time measurements of the air quality in that particular area. Let's say in South Sea, we can go to Langata, we can go to the CBD, we can go to the industrial area, and that lab transmits the real-time results of what the level of pollution and also the type of pollutants.
Okay.
What are the highest pollutants that we have, for example, in this area?
So it specifically says this is carbon.
Yes.
This is another one. Yeah.
Either carbon dioxide
Okay.
is high. It will give you the results of both NOxes, that is nitrogen oxides, the sulfur oxides, the carbon dioxide, the carbon monoxides. It gives you the results. And then you get to know. Actually, that one can even tell where the source is coming from.
Okay.
Because suppose if we say that there's a lot of carbon dioxide in this area, we can know that these are vehicles which are producing.
I'm sure if that
salt.
machine goes to a country like India, it'll be chaotic. It's going to hang.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is what NEMA has so far is a very big achievement for the country. And we wish that NEMA can be given even that capacity to have more of these mobile labs. We can have, even if we have around 2 or 3, 4 in the country, it can help us get the data that is being required to tell our policymakers that this is our situation when it comes to air pollution.
Amazing. Now, Catherine, very good idea, very good steps being taken, but you see now after measurement, you know, that's the biggest thing. So we've measured this pollution. So what next? Trying to identify the causes, very important. But now, for example, you mentioned industrial area. Now, industrial area, the machines are kind of used, and then there's so much high pollution, air pollution in that area. So the steps being followed, what will now happen? Because now the different industries, you can't just point a finger at one industry that you're the one polluting. The machine has said you're the specific one polluting the air. So what are the steps taken just to make sure now this one is reduced?
Okay. Actually, you can identify the industry that is polluting.
Okay.
And I think if you follow us closely, we do some monitoring and we are able to identify which industries emitting.
Oh, okay, amazing. I think that's a good technology then.
Yeah. Because if you go like industrial area where we have a lot of our, many of our industries, you can know maybe this one is a cement producing, this one is dealing with this other product, and we are able to measure. So we have, if an industry is found that is the emissions are higher than the allowable levels, there are steps that we take. We can, for example, we give them what we call an improvement order. Then they are able to put in place mechanisms to reduce, because we have technologies where we work with them and advise them to put, to install technologies that are able to address, because we are not saying we will not emit, because we have to produce, but the industry need to adopt cleaner production technologies to ensure that as they produce the products that we so very much need, they are also not polluting the environment and causing more harm to the people and the environment.
Now, just before I go to Leonard,
maybe just in addition to what my colleague has said, Dr. Mbaise, at the industrial level, for example, you know, according to our regulation, every industry is supposed to apply for air quality license.
Oh, okay.
Now, in this type of license comes with the conditions that you're supposed to meet these conditions. And we give you an opportunity that use an accredited laboratory to measure for yourself. So those results, now you now bring to NEMA and show NEMA that this is my results, so that you'll be able to apply for that license. Apart from that, we also have some small other gadgets or the machines whereby we can get in and measure for ourselves, get to know exactly
the exact
the
location
emission, what are the level of pollution that you are releasing. And we advise you now to give undertake these measures. You give us the pollution reduction plan, that what is your plan in the next 1 year or 6 months to make sure that you reduce your level of emissions to the required level.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you talk about the economic value of an industry, for example, way back, I'm very sure you've been to Webuye, Panpepa, during those days. And Webuye smelled like a unique town by itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was pathetic because I schooled somewhere there. And it's very crazy because now when you talk about the economic sense, the industry itself is helping people. But again, it's polluting the environment. You remember that smell?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was crazy because now, or even it used to actually affect even Bungoma residents all the way to Bungoma, kilometers away. Now, looking at this, the industry itself has to produce a smell for papers to come out. Can you prevent anything like that? Maybe, Maisie?
Yes, and that's what we are encouraging industry. Those measures that he has put in place, he has talked about. What industry needs to do is to employ cleaner production technologies, because there are technologies that will reduce the emissions to acceptable levels. And that is what we are keen on. And then in NEMA, we have a program, what we call Compliance Promotion Program, where if, say, he has brought those results, or we have gone to the industry and found out that actually they are, the emissions are beyond acceptable levels, that plan, he can tell us, okay, this is what I want to do, or working with other partners, I want to install this technology, and so that I can reduce my emissions to acceptable levels. So that is, we are not going to stop industry from producing, but what we are saying is please employ or install technologies that are going to address or to reduce those emissions so that they don't go to the environment and affect people. Because you know now air pollution, sometimes you cannot quickly see the effects immediately. But we know, and even from the studies that he has talked about, you see the effect, it is so high. So we are encouraging industry to adopt cleaner production technologies.
Now, I understand that this year's theme is all about air pollution, but just the other day, authorities were cracking down on industries emitting substances in rivers, and some industries were closed. That was actually a big step. And you see, when you talk about water pollution, that was its own ballgame. Now, air pollution, it comes to air pollution. Can an industry be closed because of air pollution?
Exactly. It can be closed. According to the laws, it can be closed. And because this regulation, we just started to implement a few years ago, we are still trying to create awareness. Slowly, we create awareness. The reason because, you know, these industries, most of our industries are old industries. And also to acquire the equipment is also not very cheap. We know it takes time to transition period. But once, because we have already started implementing, and we have already we are enforcing that every industry must have that license. That license is the one which will give them the conditions that you must operate under this standard. Without it, the industry can be closed.
It's true that.
So because in us, you know, what is important is the health of our people and our environment. Profits go to the industry owner. You know, but the effects is homogeneous. It goes to anybody.
It's true that.
So as I said, this 18,000, what we are praying for is the 18,000 people that we are losing every year. Can it be reduced to zero? It can. It can. And also, we are trying to make sure that the current technology, it is good that in Kenya we don't have the energy production industries which are more like the coal, like that. We don't have much of it really. But other industries, irrespective of what they do, we are determined to make sure that they operate under the
Okay.
provided
Okay.
standards.
Okay. As you're finalizing this conversation, a country like India, it's so clear that when you're approaching Mumbai, even on a plane, you're slapped by a very weird reception of a smell that actually just surprises you. What is happening? Which world am I in? Now, yes, we're in Kenya, but looking at even the laws governing India, population is just out of hand in that country. No offense to India, but still looking at the control, going down to maybe our slums, because now when you talk about air pollution, there's so much that happens. It's all environment now. Let's now kind of generically talk about environment. Dr. Do you think there must be some laws also governing these areas? Because as much as we are going hard on industries, looking at all these even households, people, individual, like your behavior, you can't just go and just spoil everything. You know what happens, eh? Do you think there should be tough measures just to make sure that indeed even individuals are brought to a book to make sure at least there's some consistency of taking care of our environment?
Okay, there can be tough laws, but as you know, there must be a balance.
Yeah.
For example, industry, as much as we are tough, we give them hearing.
Okay.
We are not just saying close. Like he has said, you see, there is the law.
Yeah.
You come to us, you give us a plan. In this plan, you say, okay, I'm going to get this measure. And like you said, some of these technologies or the equipments can be expensive.
Yeah.
But if you tell us, okay, in 6 months, I'm going to install, we listen.
Yeah.
Like you have said, okay, they are also expensive. And so maybe the government will need to look at this equipment. What is it that the government can do to ensure that this equipment are available to the people? They can easily get the equipment.
Okay.
Now, when you go to the slums and you go to the common mwananchi, even in the rural areas,
Okay.
because I think from our studies, some of the counties, when we did our environmental performance index, we found that there are some counties that their households the indoor air pollution is quite high.
Okay.
So it's not only even in the slums, but even back in the rural areas where people use fuel wood. So in this one, it is very hard to tell a mama, don't use firewood. What alternative are you giving her?
It's true that.
So it's about the alternatives to this, to cooking. And that's why we are promoting like the clean jikos. We are encouraging the common mwananchi to adopt clean fuel. Or even if they are using the normal fuel wood, there are jikos that will burn this fuel to almost acceptable levels, not 100. So those are the technologies we are adopting, we are encouraging, we are promoting. Let the common mwananchi adopt the clean jikos. Let them use gas. Let them use biogas where it can be installed. And we are working with other partners who are helping, like to go and install those jikos, to create awareness and help them to install those jikos in the rural areas.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, last sentiments, air pollution. So, do you think we're winning this war? Just a quick one before we actually transition.
Definitely, we will win if we work, we bring ourselves together.
Okay.
Because NEMA alone cannot do it, but we need everybody on board. When I say everybody, we need, apart from the government, we need the private sector to be responsible for their actions. We need, globally we have a system whereby the industries regulate themselves in terms of environmental pollution in a mechanism called responsible care. Where is our industries when it comes to responsible care? The Kenya Association of Manufacturers should put more effort to engage the global center of the responsible care to make sure that our industries also practice the same as other countries like in Europe and Asia.
All right. Thank you so much, Brother Leonard. Of course, Dr. Catherine Mbaise for coming. We hope the day will be successful, and we hope also just the generic responsibility we can take of our environment. Not only actual air, even water. You know, it's messed up out here, by the way, but good job you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, just hold it right there now.